Thank you very much for inviting me here today to participate in this important event. The people of Idaho, especially those who work at the Idaho National Lab, are proud of their 64-year history of nuclear energy innovation. I live in Idaho Falls, right where the lab is based. And in December 1951, which would be when I was about 6 months old, the lab proved that atomic power could be used to create electricity when the first experimental breeder reactor was powered. It powered 4 light bulbs. Then in July 1955, the Borax 3 reactor powered the town of Arco, Idaho entirely using only nuclear energy. So began the legacy of Idaho's lab and the home now to over 50 one-of-a-kind nuclear reactors. Everything was new. Everything was innovative. The lab in Idaho went on to achieve tremendous breakthrough after tremendous breakthrough. And the imagination, ingenuity, and hard work of the scientists at the Idaho Lab, together with the scientists at Argonne, Oak Ridge, at partnering universities, and in the private sector, worked together to ensure that the United States was the leader in development and commercialization of nuclear energy. This is the legacy that today the Department of Energy is building to create a new generation of 21st century nuclear reactors. I'm very appreciative of the way that Third Way, INL, Oak Ridge, Argonne Lab, and NEI have come together to convene this meeting to develop a path forward for a new generation of scientists and entrepreneurs to succeed in nuclear generation technology. As a member of the Senate Environment and Public Works Committee, I'm keenly aware of the challenges facing this industry after the accident at Fukushima. The burden of regulation by the NRC has forced industry to shift priorities to the current fleet and to cancel ambitious plans to build new light water reactors. Failures in public policy regarding nuclear energy waste have created uncertainty in investors and in the general public. Last week, Senators Whitehouse, Risch, Booker, Hatch, and I introduced the Nuclear Energy Innovation Capabilities Act, or NYKA. This measure is the Senate companion to the House measure of the same name introduced by Representatives Randy Weber, Edie Bernice Johnson, and Lamar Smith. And I'd like to thank my colleagues for their hard work on this measure. We are all very excited by this legislation, and we all agree that innovation within the nuclear energy industry must continue. American preeminence in all things nuclear must endure. And I'm glad to see that we have a strong bipartisan effort underway to assure that at the policy level in Congress, in both the House and the Senate. The Senate version of NYKA would do 4 very important things to encourage innovation in advanced nuclear. 1, the bill directs the Department of Energy to carry out a modeling and simulation program that aids in the development of new reactor technologies. This is an important first step in allowing the private sector to have access to the capabilities of our national labs to test reactor designs and concepts. Second, the measure also requires the DOE to report its plan to establish a user-friendly, versatile reactor-based fast neutron source. This is a critical step that will allow private companies the ability to test principles of nuclear science and prove the science behind their work. Third, it directs DOE to carry out a program to enable the testing and demonstration of reactor concepts proposed and funded by the private sector. This site is to be called the National Nuclear Innovation Center, and it will function as a database to store and share knowledge on nuclear science between federal agencies and the private sector. The Senate version of NYKA encourages the Department of Energy and the Nuclear Regulatory Commission to work together in this effort. We would like to see DOE lead the effort to establish and operate the National Nuclear Innovation Center while consulting with the NRC regarding safety issues. We would also like the NRC to have access to the work done by the center in order to provide its staff with the knowledge it will need to eventually license any new reactors coming out of the center. If these reactors ever get to market, the NRC must be able to understand the ins and outs of the science and work behind their development. The NRC needs the data in order to make data-driven licensing requirements. Fourth, the Senate version of NYKA requires the NRC to report on its ability to license advanced reactors within 4 years of receiving an application. The NRC must explain any institutional or organizational barriers it faces in moving forward with licensing the advanced reactors under this time frame. This bill is an important step forward in maintaining U.S. leadership in nuclear energy. It's my hope that this bill will be the thing that enables the private sector and the national labs to work together to create new, mind-blowing achievements in nuclear science. This bill encourages the smartest, the most innovative and creative minds in nuclear science to partner together to move the industry forward. NYKA is a very exciting piece of legislation, and I look forward to working with my colleagues in this room and my colleagues in Congress on a bipartisan basis to help the American nuclear energy thrive today and prepare for the future. And thank you very much for what you're doing here today and for allowing me to speak with you for a few moments.